guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with an update for my Pan Those Eyeshadows. This is one of my favorite videos to film and also watch on YouTube, so I'm really excited to have another update for you today, and I'm just going to basically jump straight into the videos and show you my progress. So I have 4 palettes that I've been working on for the last month. I have 2 from Decay and 2 from ColourPop, so we're just gonna start kind of randomly. The palette that has been in here for the longest is my Naked palette, and I've been working on one shade in here. The shade I've been working on is Sin, so I'm going to start by inserting the picture where I was last month with this shade. And here we are today. So as you can see right there, I did manage to pan on this shade, which is really exciting. This was really good to use. It was good to use as an inner corner highlight and also all over the lid. I really enjoyed using this, and I will include some looks. I believe I took some looks with this, unless I hit pan before I actually started taking photos. But if I do have any photos with this shade, I will include them at the end of this video, which I do every update. And as you can see, I have now 2 pans in this palette, both of them from this project actually, so that's really exciting. I'm actually really glad to get some progress on this, because this is my oldest palette in my collection, so I'm just happy to get use of it finally. I do have quite a few dips in this palette, but I was nowhere near hitting pan on any of them before adding it in. So yeah, I'm glad to have 2 pans in this palette. I'm also really excited to be able to put Roulette in a new shade at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. To mix it up, let's continue on with ColourPop. The rest of these palettes have been in the same amount of time. So I'm going to start with the Through My Eyes palette, because I have 2 different shades in this palette that I'm working on. One of them is called Wild Soul and the other one is called Missbehave. I'm going to start by showing you Wild Soul, and that is where I was last time. And to show you, this is where I am today. So I have used this quite a lot actually, and I do have some pictures with this 100% sure. And that, like you can see there, I do have quite a big dip. It's been a really easy shade to use. I've been using this as a transition shade. I also used it all over the lid a few times. When I choose to use this shade, I basically can either do, like I said, a light layer as a transition, and it becomes this really warm transition shade. It doesn't go with every look obviously, but I have been using this with a gold that I've been using in my Naked 3 palette, which hasn't been the most ideal kind of shade combination, but it's still been working, and it's been a nice transition shade for that shade. But the other days I've been using this quite intensely, and I pack it on in my outer corners, and that creates quite a yellow outer corner, and I kind of been using that as a deepening up shade ish, or just a pop of color basically. And it's been a beautiful shade. I've been loving using this shade, and I definitely think I will be able to use this quite a bit more in the next updates, and hopefully I will be able to hit pan on this for next updates. And as you may have seen in the first picture, this was completely new when I put this into the project. So as I mentioned before, the second shade that I've been working on in this palette is Missbehave, and I'm going to insert again the picture where I was last time, but like you may have known, this palette was completely new, so I hadn't used that at all. And this is where I am today. So you can see that I do have a dip in this shade as well. It's definitely not as deep as the Wild Soul shade, but it is more of a deep shade, so it's not as easy making progress on this because I don't need as much when I do use it. I am wearing this on my outer corners today, and it's a beautiful shade. I actually love this, and I've been finding a lot of ways to use this shade, because you don't need a lot when you do use this shade, so I feel like the progress is quite slow, but nevertheless I'm happy to have it in, and I actually like it way more than I thought I would. And if I do combine these two, so I use this one and sometimes a little bit of this cool shade, it creates a really nice kind of sunset eye, which I have been loving as well. So yeah, that is this palette. No pan in this so far, but I definitely hope to hit pan on Wild Soul in next updates. Sorry about the lights. The lighting in this video probably won't be the best. The sun is just coming in and out, and it's been quite cloudy today. So anyway, let's move on to the next palette. Let's mix it up again and do the next Naked palette. This one is the Naked 3, and I've been working on one shade in this, which is the shade Trick. Again, I'm going to insert the picture where I was last time with this shade, and as you can hopefully see right there, we have another pan. So I did manage to hit pan on this. I actually hit pan on this today, which is really exciting, and it's also one of the reasons why I decided to film this video today. Yeah, I'm really happy with this shade. I have used this quite a lot, and you can see I'm wearing this on basically all over my lips today. It is quite a crumbly shade, and I feel like what I did kind of halfway through the month is sort of using this either wet or with a glitter glue, and I think that helped it a lot. I'm not sure if this is because it's getting old. This palette is quite a few years old, or it's because of the formula, because I think I used to really like this palette. Yeah, I kind of believe sometimes though that what you used to think is good doesn't feel as good anymore, because newer formulas has come out and that may affect how you see this, and I think that's maybe have been what happened with this, or like I said, it just is getting older and that is the reason why it's not working as well. But either way, I did hit pan on this, and that means I will be rolling 2 new shades in at the end of this video, which is really exciting. And again, I have 2 pans in this Naked palette, which is kind of cool, and like I said, I'm just happy to get some progress out of these, because again, both of these pans are from this project, and that is the goal of this, which makes me really happy to actually see some progress. And then let's move on to the next palette, which is another ColourPop palette, and this one is the Give It To Me Straight palette. Again, I've been working on 1 shade in this palette, and this is the shade Be Blunt. Just like the other ColourPop palette, this was completely new when I put it in, so I'm going to insert the picture where I was when I started. And as you can see, this is where I am today. So hopefully you can see on camera there that I do have quite a decent dip in this shade. I feel like this is probably the next one that I will be hit pan on. My goal will be to hit pan on this on next update. I've been using this quite a few times, definitely not every day like I have with some of the other kind of transition shades. But because of the nature of this shade, I do kind of use a lot because it is a shimmer. So yeah, there is a decent dip. And the 2 main ways I've been using this is basically either using it kind of on the inner, kind of, I do a gradient, so I do it like a light shimmer and then this shade and then kind of my deepening up shade, or I've been actually using this quite a lot as a kind of thick smoky liner, which I've been loving using as well. But those are basically the main kind of ways I've been using this, and I have used it all on my lid a few times, but it's not my favorite kind of look because it does create quite a smoky eye. It works sometimes, but it's just too heavy for every day. But like I said, this is 1 shade that I'm hoping to have pan on for next update, but I'm just going to continue working on it. So that was my color palette for the last month, but like I said, I do have pan on 2 shades, so I'm going to go ahead and roll in 2 new eyeshadows and hopefully get quite a different color palette for next update. So I swatched the 3 shades that I have currently in, and I am going to go ahead and randomize 2 new shades. So I have my pretty random app, and I put in 1 through 32 because I do have 32 palettes at the moment, and I'm going to go ahead and randomize a palette. So we get number 9, which is my ColourPop Element of Surprise palette. So the Element of Surprise palette looks like this. As you can see, there are 12 shades, so I'm just going to go ahead and randomize a shade. And I'm just going to go ahead and randomize, and the shade that I get is number 6. So number 6 is this shade right here, and that one is called Subdue. So I have gone ahead and swatched that shade right here, and that is Subdue. So let's go ahead and randomize the last shade. So again, we're going to put in 1 through 32 with the palettes, and let's randomize number 31. And I'm actually really excited about this because number 31 is my Sweet Talk palette, also from ColourPop. So Sweet Talks looks like this, and I am actually in love with this palette. I've kind of loved this image since I bought it. It is again a new palette in my collection, so barely used this. I think we created 1 look with this, and I did some swatching as well. But yeah, that is the palette. Then let's go and randomize 1 shade between 1 and 12. So I put it into my randomizer, and we get number 1. So number 1 is of course the most boring shade in the palette, but it's this light color right here, and this one is called Catch Me. That over here I do have some kind of leftover swatches, so it doesn't really show up, and it kind of makes it look a bit weird, but basically it is just the skin color, so it's not really showing up anyway. There it is on my finger. It's kind of like a neutral beigey tone, but it's not showing up on my hand, but it is there nevertheless. So I definitely was hoping to get a more exciting shade from this palette, but that is okay. I can definitely reach for this more once it is in the project as well. So that will be the 4 palettes that I have in for next month. If I'm being honest, it's kind of funny because all the palettes that I'm working on right now are from ColourPop, so that's going to be exciting. And I did purchase quite a few different ColourPop palettes recently, which is probably why I'm getting a few of them now. But yeah, I'm really excited to get some use out of these ones. I haven't used this before. It's not one of the ones that I purchased. I actually got this from Alexandra, which you may know, who actually is the creator of this project. I mentioned that in my intro, but let's just mention it again. I purchased this palette from her, so I had this for a little bit longer, but I haven't reached for it too much, so it's gonna be fun using this shade more. And I do quite like it. I'm just worried about how it will go with the remainder of the color palette, but I'm sure I'll make it work. So let's just go through some of the looks that I've used over the last month quickly. I have quite a few this month. I will go through them quite quickly. So the first look I have right here is one of my go-tos. Yeah, it's basically just using that yellow shade quite intensely in the outer corners, like I mentioned. And yeah, I think on this look I was wearing, I think the gold mixed with the sin color actually, unless I use the sin by itself, but it looks quite like medium tone, so I think I mixed them two in this color look. But yeah, I love this look, and this was definitely one of my go-tos. It wasn't too colorful and it was quite easy to use for work. The next look is kind of a similar one, but it's kind of more intense as well, because I used the yellow kind of all over my lid rather than just in my outer corners, and then instead of using the sin shade or like a shimmer shade from this project, I decided to use a glitter. So I used a glitter in my inner corners, which is where you can see in the pictures. The pictures aren't that great, so don't judge them too much. I just really wanted to capture this look, but the lighting was terrible. But anyway, that is the second look that I have. And then actually the last look that I have, which is the only one that I actually have of using the purple, which is weird because I have used it quite a lot, as you can also see in the pan with the progress. Anyway, I'm wearing this today as well, like I mentioned. This has been one of my go-to looks. I just didn't take a photo of it apparently. But anyway, the look that I'm talking about is, it was really hard to capture this. I was trying really hard for a long time because it was such a beautiful look and I loved it to death. Basically what I did is I used that kind of reddish purpley color, which was called Missbehave, from the Through My Eyes palette, and I used it in my outer corners and kind of into my crease a little bit, and then I topped it off with a shimmery shade. I actually did not use Sin. I actually used one of the shades in the Through My Eyes palette, which has become one of my favorite kind of complementary shades, and that is this shade right here, and that one is called Lucido. So those were basically the looks that I did, or some of the looks that I actually took photos of. So that is it to summarize the last month. But that, you guys, was not just the end of the pictures, it was also the end of this video. Motorcycle, sorry about that. It was also the end of this video, so yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it. If you like this project if you like this project just as much as I do, because I love it, and like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, it's my favorite video to film and it's my favorite video to watch. So if you do enjoy it as much as I do, please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my next update. I will definitely continue doing this project for the rest of the year, and hopefully even moving into next year as well. And apart from that, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!